Hi, I'm Bob. In the past 3 videos, we have learned how to compute the compensating variation, CV, and the equivalent variation, EV, for the quasilinear utility function, the Cobb-Douglas utility function, the perfect complements, and the perfect substitutes. Today, we will examine the government policies' effects on consumer welfare. Let's look at exercise 3.1. The consumer chooses between water and all other goods. If he spends all his money on water, he can buy 12,000 gallons per week, given that he has U-shaped indifference curves. Show his optimal bundle E1 in a diagram. During a drought, the government limits the number of gallons per week that he may purchase to 10,000. Using diagrams, discuss under which conditions his new optimal bundle E2 will be the same as E1. If the two bundles differ, can you state where E2 must be located? The new budget line has a kink at Q1 equal to 10,000 gallons. It is the same as the old budget line without a quota for fewer than 10,000 gallons, and it is vertical at Q1 equals 10,000. In case 1, the old optimal bundle E1 is to the left of the vertical quota line. The new bundle E2 is the same as E1. In case 2, the old optimal bundle E1 is to the right of the vertical quota line. The new optimal bundle E2 is different from E1. E2 is the corner solution, where the highest indifference curve touches the kink of the new budget line. Let's do exercise 3.2. The consumer usually buys 1 pizza and 2 colas from the local pizzeria. The pizzeria announces a special. All pizzas after the first one are half price. So the optimal and new budget constraint. What can you say about the bundle the consumer will choose when faced with the new constraint? The original budget line is a downward sloping straight line. The new budget constraint has a kink because of the special price. It becomes flatter after Q1 is more than 1. It is flatter because the relative price of Q1 to Q2 is smaller in this part of the budget line. The original optimal bundle is E1. The new optimal bundle is E2. The consumer is on a higher indifference curve. She will buy more pizzas and fewer colas compared to the old optimal bundle. Let's solve exercise 3.3. Since 1979, the U.S. government has given low-income recipients food stamps without charge. Before 1979, people bought food stamps at a subsidized rate. For example, to get $1 worth of food stamps, a household paid about 20 cents. So the budget constraint facing an individual, if that individual may buy up to $100 per month in food stamps at 20 cents per each $1 coupon. Compare this constraint to the original budget constraint with no assistance and the budget constraint if the individual received $100 of food stamps for free. Suppose the price of food and the price of all other goods are both 1 for simplicity. The original budget constraint without assistance is a downward sloping straight line, L1. The free food stamps shift the budget line to the right by $100. It is L2 with a kink at Q1 equals 100. The budget line with subsidized food stamps is between the above two budget constraints. It also has a kink. It has a flatter part before Q1 equals 100 because the food price is relatively lower with the subsidized food stamps in this part. It is effectively 1/5 of the market price. Let's solve exercise 3.4. Is a poor person more likely to benefit from $100 a month worth of food stamps or $100 a month worth of clothing stamps? Why? We compare the benefits to a grant of $100 in cash. The $100 worth of food stamps will probably give the consumer the same benefit because she's very likely to spend more than $100 on food per month before receiving the food stamps, as shown in the left graph. By contrast, the $100 worth of clothing stamps may give the consumer less utility than a $100 cash subsidy because she initially spends less than $100 on clothing per month. The new optimal bundle is a corner solution that is on a lower indifference curve than the case with a $100 cash subsidy. So, food stamps are better than clothing stamps for a poor person. Let's find answers to exercise 3.5. If a relatively wealthy person spends more on food than a poor person before receiving food stamps, is the wealthy person less likely than the poor person to have a tangency at a point such as F in figure 5.6? I'm not sure about this one. No matter whether the person is rich or poor, if the indifference curve is convex to the origin and the person spends more than $100 on food before receiving the food stamps, then the $100 worth of food stamps have the same benefit as a $100 cash subsidy. The new optimal bundle is an interior solution. Let's solve exercise 3.6. Recipients of federal housing choice vouchers can use the vouchers only for housing. Several empirical studies found that recipients increase their non-housing expenditures by 10% to 20%, show that recipients might but do not necessarily increase their spending on non-housing depending on their tastes. We assume that the consumer's indifference curves are unchanged before and after receiving the housing vouchers. The vouchers shift the budget line L1 to the right to L2. If non-housing goods are normal goods, their consumption will increase after using the vouchers. So far, when we analyze consumer behavior, we assume that the consumer's tastes are unchanged before and after the price change. That is, the indifference curves are fixed. If the consumer's taste in housing changes after receiving the vouchers, then the consumer could spend less on non-housing goods. Let's solve exercise 3.7. Federal housing choice vouchers and food stamps are the two of the largest in-kind transfer programs for the poor. Many poor people are eligible for both programs. 30% of housing assistance recipients also used food stamps, and 38% of food stamp participants also received housing assistance. Suppose the consumer's income is $500 a month, which she spends on food and housing. The prices of food and housing are each $1 per unit. Draw her budget line. How do her budget line and opportunity set change if she receives $100 in food stamps and $200 in housing subsidy? The new budget line is the blue line. It has two kinks. The opportunity set is the area inside the blue line. Let's find answers to exercise 3.8. Governments increasingly use educational vouchers in various parts of the United States. Suppose that the government offers poor people $5,000 in education vouchers that they may use only to pay for education. The consumer would be better off with $5,000 in cash than with the educational voucher. In the graph, determine the cash value V she places on the education voucher. Show how much education and all other goods she would consume with the educational voucher versus the cash payment of V. Suppose the prices of Q1 and Q2 are both 1 for simplicity. The optimal bundle is E1 without the voucher. Since the consumer will be better off with $5,000 in cash than with the educational voucher, she's at the corner solution E2 with the voucher. The cash value she places on the voucher is V. It shifts the original budget line upward until it is tangent to I2 at E3. That cash value makes her as well off as with the voucher because they are on the same indifference curve I2. The cash value V is less than $5,000. Comparing E3 with E2, we find that the voucher results in more education and less all other goods than the cash payment. We assume that the consumer has the usual shaped indifference curves that are convex to the origin. Thank you so much for doing the exercises with me. See you tomorrow in the next part of Chapter 5. Goodbye. Thank you for watching this video and subscribing to my YouTube channel. See you next time.